All right, so whenever you're ready, Nick, if you want to give your opening statement on why you're running and what you're running on and everything.
Okay, and then that's
yeah, and then we'll have questions and everything.
All right. Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nick Johns, and I'm running for SA President. Why I think I should be president is because I think that the students need a voice from them. They don't need somebody telling them what they need. They need somebody who understands and who's involved in the community, and they also know what it is to be in the college experience and to live this college life and be involved with regular college students all the time. Now, my last year, I lived in Governors, and I don't know if you know about Governors, but like it's a pretty interesting place to say the least. So, you know, being in the dorms, I think really helps me understand like what these students need. And so like this year, I wanted to bring that to them. And I asked students in surveys. I had my VP, I surveyed people, and we asked students if they knew about the essay. And you know, overwhelmingly, they said no. They said that they had no awareness of what essay is. That's over 60% of the respondents. And what that means to me is that says that there's a fundamental problem with the sustainability of essay. And what I want to do is make sure that the essay stands for a very long time. And now how I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring my 3 pillars of transparency, inclusiveness, and efficiency to the students. Now how we're going to do that is we're going to make the essay more transparent. And what that means to me is just making sure that students understand how their money is being spent and how it's being distributed. For us, that means that we're going to make sure that there's a live feed on our website of every single expenditure that happens in the essay. So that means there's no more of these, you know, sketchy lines that have X amount of dollars for this special project or having bonuses. We're going to make sure that it's completely accountable so that anybody who wants to can just go scroll through there and see what this money is being spent for. And that means that they're going to have to be clear and concise you know, budget entries. So what we're going to do by that is just we're going to make sure that there's accountability for everything that happens within the student association with students' money. And what's more is that we're going to make sure the general ledger is much more clear to read. If you look on there right now, it says, oh, learn how to read the general ledger, coming soon. It's been saying that all year. What we're going to do is make the essays website 10 times better. And I've already started doing that. I've already created an events calendar that has every event that's coming up in the next week. So what that means for us is that we're going to make sure that we continually update our calendar and make sure that every single event that's available on campus is available to every single student. And having other services on our website just beyond essays information is going to bring more people there and make it so it's like a one-stop shop for all your information. Whether that means advising information, where it's good to eat on campus, information on landlords and their reputations, like a Rate My Professor type of website. We're going to try and make that happen so that, you know, there's more than just one reason to stop by the Essays website. And that'll increase awareness of both essay clubs and events and their activities. Expanding students' involvement is important because they spend $94.75 each semester to fund this association of students, but they don't capitalize on that. So that's what we really want to do. And that goes right into my next ideal, inclusiveness. Inclusiveness to us means that we're going to make sure that every single student has a voice. And what we want to do with that, first of all, is bringing back surveying for Fall Fest. Now, they did that a couple years ago with under the Voice Party. But what happened with that is that students got frustrated that their voices weren't being heard through the survey. So the first artist was not picked, and it went all the way down to, I think, like the 7th artist, which was The Fray. Now, all those other choices had no explanation as to why they were chosen. Or why they weren't chosen. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide all the information of how come your favorite artists weren't chosen, and we're going to be able to display that information. What we want to do is just create, you know, an aura of transparency and accountability and making sure that your voice is heard. And what we're also going to do is we're also going to increase the amount of surveying that we do. So that means we're going to have people in the union asking what people think about some new event we're going to do. And we're also going to ask the clubs what new policies they want. It's not just going to be us mandating it because we think it's best. We want to make sure we get a full consensus, we get feedback. We need to know more information about what the students think because that's ultimately what we are as an executive board, is public servants. So what we're also going to do is increase the amount of efficiency within the essay. The efficiency to us means that students and their activities get their money faster. Now how we're going to do that is we're going to coordinate office hours. The big problem this year was the fact that there's not that many consistent times where both, you know, the treasurer, the president, the vice president, and everybody else is in the office at the same time. Now, if we coordinate that across the board and we negotiate with Student Life to have Mike Lewis in his office at the same time, that'll make things go much smoother. That means that POs will go from start to finish in around 2 days rather than 4, halving the time for events and their purchases to be executed upon. So what that means to us is that just means having more events and more activities will just mean that overall the Student Association will be much more popular. So what I think qualifies me to do this is because, again, like I said, I'm on campus. I'm not dressed here as a businessman, as a politician. When I'm standing here as a regular student, I just had a pledge football game, and it was a lot of fun. And that's what I like to do. Is I just like to get out there and do new things. Like a normal person probably would not have. Probably a sane person probably would not have done pledging at the same time as running for president. But I figured that it would be a great way to get out there and do something new, because I like to try new things. And if you don't push yourself to the limit, you're not going to ever know what you can actually do. So pushing myself in the essay to the limit is something that I want to do. I want to actually execute upon these things. Each year you hear these empty promises that aren't fulfilled upon. Now, this year in my position as treasurer for mock trial, I said that we're going to make this year one of our best years yet. And guess what we have? We fundraised over 105% of our budget, and we've had the tournament, which we haven't had in 2 years, for the running of the Bulls. It's the first annual one. It was a great success. Fundraised half our budget in one event, and we've also increased our winning percentage exponentially. This is the first year that we've gone to opening round championships in years, and that's why my vice president can't be here with us, and he's out there representing UB's name over in Hamilton, Ohio. We're bringing more reputation than we've ever had before, and we're actually legitimizing the fact that UB Mock Trial is a competitive team in this region. So under my tenure, we've increased the amount of efficiency in running our meetings, and that has gone a long way. We've cut out lots of the ancillary activities that are not as productive. And what that means for me is just being serious and professional about everything you do. I'm dressed here like this, but as you guys can probably tell, I'm very serious about what I do. I mean, I like to be involved. I like to have a good time. I like to be involved in this business fraternity, Delta Sigma Pi. But at the end of the day, it's about serving the students. Now, what that means to me is that since I'm a sophomore, I'm going to be here for 2 more years. And that means that I can't just make these empty promises and not fulfill upon them. So I'm going to be accountable for 2 years. I can't just be looking for jobs and looking for internships and trying to study for my LSATs. I'm going to be here on campus, and I'll be working every single week. I'll put in the time. I'll stay as long as I need to. That means from 9 to 8 at night, or 9 to 9 at night. I sleep in the mock trial office sometimes just because I've been so involved on campus. And that just means that if you don't get enough sleep, it's okay, because at the end of the day, you can sleep when you're dead. And I will make sure that the essay reflects my commitment to making this campus a better place. Thank you for your time.
So I'll ask the first question. You talk a lot about how you want to increase the online presence of SA and make the website 10 times better. What experience with online development do you have that qualifies you for that promise?
Well, actually, what I've been doing is talking to my friend in web services. I think he's a CIT assistant right now. His name is Jake Brendel, and he's been showing me like the ways you can do it. And a lot you can use like like various applications that are pretty easy. Like there's this website called Bluehost that I actually made my own website on, and I had initially done that, and it looked pretty good. It wasn't the best, but like just being able to that's the first step. Is just commitment to making it happen is the first thing. I made the first draft of the website, and then I had my friend who's in computer sciences, kind of make it a little bit sharper because I'm not so good at HTML. But like, I think just the first thing is just envisioning it and then being able to take the steps to make that happen. I'm not so experienced with web design because I'm a political science and business major, but again, it's just about your commitment to like getting things done.
You guys can pipe up whenever you have questions.
You said you had two more years left as a student here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first thing you want to focus on? Because you have 3 pillars. But we know it takes time for things to get in the motions. What's the first thing you focus on if elected?
The first thing I focus on is making the website better.
Okay.
Because that's something that I feel like we have the resources and the capabilities to definitely go and do immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that, if you just start day 1, that shows your commitment. And then day 2, that's expanding the expanding the involvement of students with my new Department of Student Involvement. So that's combining, you know, communications department and UBTV so that they're not as lost and disjointed as before. If they have one purpose in bringing more students into the SA and making them more aware, then I believe that that will be the second step after the website. Showing their commitment and then following through on that is what I want to do.
You back to the website again. You said that you played around, you built some stuff, and you've had a couple of your friends take a look at it. But building and maintaining a good website is something that's basically a full-time job. Are you willing to make that a paying position, and how much resources would you be willing to commit to that?
Well, absolutely. I think I would put that under the Department of Student Involvement, and I'd make sure that there's one webmaster that's responsible for that, and I would make him very responsible for that because, as you know, the online world, it's becoming your company's face to a lot of people. So if you don't maintain a good face in the internet, then that just reflects badly on you. So I think that's definitely something that we should commit to and commit more resources to, and make necessary adjustments to making sure that happens. And just being able to look at the website, I mean, that's something that you can easily check upon to see if it's being updated. So making that person very accountable for that will I think makes it a worthwhile investment.
Go ahead.
Oh. So you want to become a voice of the student body. How do you plan to do so with such a diverse body?
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm very involved with like political clubs and such, and I'm also involved in BSA. I'm a member of them, and on top of that, I'm an adopted South Korean from Rochester. So just having that kind of understanding of different cultures, it just helps me be able to understand that like no one way is the right way. You have to listen to everybody, and being able to understand such a diverse body means going out there and just talking to people, which I've been doing, is just asking people what they think about the essay, and the results have not been good so far. So I think just opening your ears and listening and having consistent office hours to be able to let everybody just come to you or go out there and stand on this floor. I mean, if I hand out some flyers from time to time, that'll be a great way of expanding the face of the essay and just having people understand that you can ask me anything, And on top of that, I made a Reddit account, and I asked Reddit what they thought and if they had any questions. So just getting out there and making your face and making your availability to questions known is something that I definitely emphasize.
The first thing any person is going to ask is how will this election affect me? So what do you see as your relationship with the spectrum?
Well, my relationship with the spectrum is definitely going to be something that I emphasize as primarily teamwork. I mean, if the spectrum has some major concerns, like I read it all the time, and University Heights has been something that you guys have definitely been emphasizing on, and that since that affects so many students, I think that's a huge goal for my administration, is going out there and advocating for them. But as far as that goes, I think that we should have a good relationship, but we shouldn't have necessarily a coded relationship. So what that means to me is making sure that that students understand the issues surrounding the renewal of the contract, which will be next year, I believe, and just making sure that students understand that it's a quid pro quo thing. If we fund the spectrum, which I don't think they need anymore anyways, but if we fund them, we do receive seats on the board of directors, and that might be construed as conflict of interest in that the spectrum is responsible for making sure that the essay is accountable, because they are the voice of the students and they are another source of advocacy for the students. So balance is very key in any kind of political administration. If you have one voice for everything, that is definitely not a good thing, because that eliminates accountability.
What made you a better candidate in Carson City?
Well, I hate to put it like that, but I mean, first off, I think that being involved in a club for like 2 years rather than like just trying to move on and keep moving forward, I think that just being able to look at established things and maintain them is definitely a huge thing for me. And on top of that, I think that I represent more of the student body in that I'm involved in more clubs and I'm open to more ideas. And my relationship with Subboard is definitely going to be beneficial. I'm on a first-name basis with Bill Hooley as my position as a legal researcher for them. So being able to work with more people and work with a wider range and understanding of different interests is something huge for me. So like being endorsed by wide range of clubs from like SHISH to engineering to POC, that really shows that I have a diverse understanding of many different ways of life and many different cultures. So just bringing that back around, I think that my qualifications from being involved in a club for 2 years rather than letting your club go on to not do as much this year that's something huge. And I also have not derecognized any clubs accidentally. On top of that, I have a concrete ticket. I mean, if he can't keep a ticket of 7 people, how is he expected to keep clubs of over 130 clubs together? That's my biggest thing.
Can you expand on that point about not derecognizing clubs? What do you mean by that?
Well, an issue with Carson was that he brought an issue up to the Senate that a certain club, pharmacology and toxicology, was not like being responsive and that they weren't fulfilling their requirements. So what he did was he brought it to us and he showed us that, oh look, they haven't been responding to me and whatnot. And so he was like, all right, we should derecognize them. So we derecognized them like right before one of their biggest events. So that was what happened.
Were you involved in the decision to derecognize them?
Yes, because he brought it up to us and he showed us his paper that said, oh look, these are all the requirements that they did not fulfill. And we took him at his word since he was academic coordinator. So we took him at his word and we were like, all right, it seems like he has all the facts right. Let's derecognize him. So that's what happened.
What you're saying is he didn't have all the facts.
No, he did not.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Sam.
You said you want to make the lives of clubs a lot easier. What do you plan on doing to do that?
Well, first off, I want to stop no-fault freezing. So what that means to me is that as a treasurer for mock trial, what happened to us was that the accounting department of a certain hotel that we stayed at would not give us an invoice, and they mischarged us for the amount of rooms. So that was a huge discrepancy that messed things up with SA. And so we were like, what's going on? Why did you charge us extra rooms? And then when we tried to call them, they were like, oh, the accounting department has stepped out. And we were like, what's going on? So if you can provide documentation that you try to reach these people and try to get an invoice, then we're gonna stop. We're gonna unfreeze your club, because if it's not your fault, then I don't really think that it's okay that you're frozen. You can't have so many events and activities. So making that easier and making it more understanding of like club situations, because not everything is within club's control, and just making sure that you're not hindering their ability to provide services for the students is something huge for me.
Sam.
Can you elaborate on the community service requirement that you want to do?
Yeah, I think that establishing a positive mandate for community service, that means saying that you must complete community service or your budget will be reduced, that is definitely a bad thing, because that eliminates the point of community service, which is just being like a good person and wanting to get out there and help people. So making it more of a soft requirement is definitely something that I want to do. It's just making sure that they understand that, yes, we recognize this is a good thing, it's a very positive thing for the community, but we shouldn't push it on clubs if it's not your club's purpose. Because I feel like that makes the clubs mad that they have to do something that they really don't want to do if they don't want to do it. But B, providing that option and saying that, oh, if you want to increase, then you can either do community service, fundraise a lot, or have collaborative events. So just making sure that it's an option but not a requirement is something huge for me.
We have time for one more question. Anyone? All right, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You did great.